What up is Marcus with Dynasty Dads. We have Would You Rather. Now, usually when we do Would You Rather, we have two positional players. Let's say Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, same position, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, we're debating which one would you rather have. Or maybe even a tight end, like a TJ Hawkinson versus Dallas Goedert, something along those lines. We're actually doing different positions, but in Dynasty, they are drafted back-to-back or right next to each other in Dynasty drafts. And so we're going to start off with, we're going from the top, basically higher ADPs all the way down, and we're going to start off with CeeDee Lamb versus Jonathan Taylor. Now, in the world of Dynasty rookie drafts, I recommended Jonathan Taylor over CeeDee Lamb. He was a prospect. I had CeeDee Lamb as my wide receiver 1. I had Jonathan Taylor one spot ahead of him. I even had actually it was more than one spot because I had DeAndre Swift ahead of him as well. So CeeDee Lamb was a couple spots below, and the fall of DeAndre Swift is sad. But let's get back to it. I believe that CeeDee Lamb is going to be, from this point on, worth more than Jonathan Taylor. Yes, we get the news that Jonathan Taylor hurt his back, didn't hurt his back. Who knows what's going to go on with that Colts situation. I think it's just a dumpster fire when it comes to Jim Irsay leading that team. And so I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb, who is very comfortably a top 5 wide receiver, in my opinion, for the next 4 or 5 years. I think Waddle could potentially throw a threat in there, maybe when Tyreek Hill leaves. Garrett Wilson is extremely talented. Jackson Smith-Njigba, very, very talented as well. Marvin Harrison actually will probably be that wide receiver 3, let's be honest. Could end up overcoming everything, and Marvin Harrison Jr. could be the wide receiver 1 in 18 months. But CeeDee Lamb, top 5 wide receiver. I think Jonathan Taylor, there's a lot more question marks there, although he's had an extremely good running back 1 overall finish. Sometimes you see that, and these running backs, they just don't stick around for that long. And Jonathan Taylor's a huge, fast, everything that you'd want, but still, CeeDee Lamb in Dynasty. Monroe St. Brown versus Jamir Gibbs, you get the same team. There are still some concerns of Monroe St. Brown I have. He was a 4th-round draft capital. They still tried to draft Jameson Williams. They seem to, the offense seems to be running through Jared Goff. In my opinion, Jamir Gibbs has all the talent you would want. And right now, he's my running back 6, hasn't even stepped on the field yet. It just tells me that in the next couple of years, Jamir Gibbs is going to probably have that Kamara-like value. Even if he's 80%, 90% of Alvin Kamara, you're talking about a running back that is almost irreplaceable at this point. And so Jamir Gibbs, I am taking over Monroe St. Brown. Again, I sometimes lean those running backs over wide receivers. I see that short-term three-year gap. A lot of Dynasty leagues, 5 years is so long. It's so long, and it's so hard unless you're a quarterback. I mean, because a lot of these wide receivers, still, they burn bright, and all of a sudden they're gone. I mean, you get a good couple of years out of them, and then they're gone. And so we always think of these wide receivers being long-lasting, but that's really only the extreme elite versions, the Julios, the DeAndre Hopkins, the Calvin Johnsons. They burn bright for a while, but everyone else, they are very fluctuant in almost like running backs. And so the next one, we're going to do tight end versus wide receiver, is Mr. Kyle Pitts versus Chris Olave. And maybe I'm a Chris Olave hater. I see the limited upside, the cap, the ceiling of Olave. I don't see him ever being a top 5 wide receiver. I see him being a really good low-end wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, Keenan Allen sphere, which is valuable, but Kyle Pitts has that ability to be, again, a top 4 overall pick in Dynasty. He has that ability to be that positional advantage, to be tight end 1 overall in Dynasty. And I still have to believe, even if I got my blindness on. And I'm going to ride the ship down. I am the captain of the Kyle Pitts crew, and I will ride this ship into the ground. Well, not into the ground, until it sinks. And so right now, we got some water overboard. We definitely got some water overboard, but we're not in panic. I mean, we're definitely getting those buckets out. We're trying to scoop that water out, and we're hoping that Desmond Ridder is our savior. Not likely. It's more like Johnny Depp. We need some Johnny Depp. All right, Tony Pollard, Cooper Kupp, again, similar into the sphere that they probably have 2 good years left in them. I am going to take Cooper Kupp. I understand the Rams are a dumpster fire, but if you're telling me that one of these 2 players is top 3 overall in their position, I'm telling you it's Cooper Kupp. He was literally the number 1 overall wide receiver, above Jefferson, above Chase, above everybody when he got hurt last year, and that was when they were a dumpster fire. I don't think that that's going to change much, and even if it does, you're talking about Cooper Kupp going into this kind of record-breaking-ish territory. And so Cooper Kupp, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, he has that advantage. Tony Pollard is really, really good, but I just don't believe that he is going to be that top 5 position. I see him being a really good running back into that again, 5 to 12 sphere in the next year or two. It's just that wide receiver, that difference of having, even look at redraft. Cooper Kupp is a top 5-6 pick. I know he's got a little bit of a hamstring issue. Tony Pollard's not. Tony Pollard's a second rounder. And so you are, again, getting kind of that round, let's just say if we just did redraft for a year, well, I think that you're going to have 2024 season, similar. Kupp is going to be ahead of Pollard drafting-wise. And then their careers are going to be very similar of it's very up in the air of how much more career do they have left. Travis Kelce versus Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson's actually older than we realized. He's 25, almost 26 here. So Travis Kelce, I guess I'm going with Travis Kelce. This guy never dies. And I'm starting to get to the point of is he going to follow the Tony Gonzalez career where he's going to be a productive, he's going to have another 3-4 years of productivity. I mean, that is within the realm of possibilities. And I'm not saying he's tight end 1 overall. I'm saying he could be tight end 1 overall this year in 2023. But maybe 2024, 5 and 6, he's 3, 4, 5, somewhere around there. He comes back to the pack. That's still extremely valuable to be a top 5 tight end. It's what you're looking for. In fact, that's why Mark Andrews in Dynasty is where he's at. He's ahead of Kelce, and he's being ranked much higher than Stevenson. So Kelce's what I'm taking. JSN versus Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris is underranked, but I also think JSN at this point is underranked as well. I don't know why people don't like him in Seattle. I'm really hoping, I have a couple rookie drafts coming up very shortly. I really hope that JSN somehow falls into my lap. I have a pick that, man, I feel like the team ahead of me has been kind of what should I do? What should I do? And I'm just don't take JSN. Do whatever you do, don't take him. And he's probably going to take him, but it is what it is. So I really want JSN, or I want to trade into that pick. And so I guess you'll have to all wait and see if that ends up happening here in a couple weeks. But JSN, I'm taking him over Najee Harris because JSN just has that elite talent. I know Najee is a really talented running back, but came into the league, came into the NFL older. And so, again, you think of him as a 2021 draft pick, or 2020? Yeah, 2021 draft pick, but he's really a 2020 draft pick with his age. Javonte versus Christian Watson. This one's easy for me. I'm just going to say Christian Watson is fine, but he was a big play guy. We saw this with Chase Claypool. I've seen this with other wide receivers as well. Most of the time, these wide receivers, they burn really bright really quickly, but they have to have a great quarterback. Quentin Johnston is one of the biggest examples that I think is very like Christian Watson and has the perfect quarterback play. Jordan Love is a huge up in the air. And if Jordan Love ends up being, again, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, then this is going to be Christian Watson. But I'm going to go with Javonte Williams here. Javonte Williams, when healthy, has shown he has the talent and ability to really be a game changer. I mean, you looked at his stats versus Jonathan Taylor's. It's weird. It's weird how we look at Jonathan Taylor as this elite running back, and we look at Javonte as this, kind of handcuffed running back, basically. And yes, he has a major knee injury, and that's got to be recovered with. But we look at J.K. Dobbins' history and how he hasn't even dropped that far off in kind of that same pathway of his career. So I'm taking Javonte. Swift versus Jahan Dotson. I look at Terry McLaurin, I look at that offense, and I say Jahan Dotson has a limited upside, in my opinion. I think that Jahan Dotson is a talented player, and I do like him in that draft position. But DeAndre Swift, I think, is being way underranked. I don't know why people hate DeAndre Swift. He is extremely talented. He's extremely fragile. And I guess that's sometimes in the NFL, that's what takes down some of these really good, talented players, and they just can't stay healthy. And so DeAndre Swift, I'm still going to hold out hope that DeAndre Swift gets back to when he's on the field, he's very, very productive. He just has to get on the field. And I think that's sometimes, we've even seen that with Rashad Penny, who is a talented running back and has not been able to stay on the field as well. And it's not like Clyde Edwards-Helaire where it's he's on the field and he just looks bad. DeAndre Swift goes on the field, looks great, but then just comes off with a shoulder injury, the ankle injury, knee injury, something. And then we have Joe Mixon, we have Zay Flowers. To me, any Baltimore weapon that's not named Mark Andrews, it just scares the bejesus out of me. I don't want Bateman. I don't want Odell Beckham. I don't want Zay Flowers. I'd rather have Joe Mixon. I'd rather have 1 year. Just know I get one really good year out of Joe Mixon, and that's my opinion of what's going to happen. Is I'm going to get one really good year out of Joe Mixon again, unless he gets hurt. But I'm getting one good year, and I can even flip him for a different veteran wide receiver to maybe even get a couple good years out of a wide receiver. Flowers is such an up in the air. That cliff starts to really fall off of JSN. And so I really struggle to want to keep like a Zay Flowers type over Mixon. So we're going to keep Mixon. We're going to keep the 1 year of Mixon. So this is Marcus Dynasty Dads. Peace out. Take care. We will see you next week.